So, welcome everybody. I'm just going to click on the main group here. If you can find the either one of you can find the members group, just so we can monitor the chat there, that'd be great. I also did something a little bit different this week. I invited people to Zoom as well because some people don't use Facebook actively. But of course, anybody who is here in Zoom is going to be watching, just like we would a regular Zoom. So you're able to chat in here, put your Q&A in here. You're also able to be in our various groups. We are streaming and restreaming live in 3 different Facebook groups, a Facebook page, Periscope, YouTube, on Zoom.
We're everywhere.
Starting getting the hang of this. I see T is watching. I see T is watching. We have multiple people here. Eileen, Benita, Teresa here in Zoom with us. I know we have somebody else here as well. Talisha, who do you have on your end?
I'm streaming on all, so I'm seeing T in the group, and some other people are kind of coming in. I see everybody in the Zoom. So we're doing all right.
All righty then. We have so much to cover today, so I'm super excited. We have some major things happening within the 10K project. We have some things that I will be able to tell you about, other things that are going to be upcoming announcements over the next couple of weeks, but just know behind the scenes we are working super hard for you. So we have a few things we're going to do tonight, switch things up a bit. I always start off with what the 10K project is, just so that we're all on the same page. I let my lovely co-founders introduce themselves. And then I have 2 articles to talk with you about tonight. The first is a little bit more information about the 2% solution that billionaire Robert Smith introduced a couple of weeks ago. We talked about it last week. We had a great conversation about it. I did a little bit more digging and did some calculating, and I came up with something very interesting on our end that, I wanted to bring to everyone's attention. And Talisha posted a wonderful article earlier today of a company started by a Black female founder who was sold, because the company is that was sold for $1.2 billion. So we're going to take a look at that article. I want to point out certain things to you so we can start getting in an investor mentality, and we're able to read things and read through the lines and things like that. Now I have to be careful because we are a crowdfunding portal. We can't necessarily tell you how to invest or persuade you or things like that, but just some of my business knowledge and Talisha and Tawana's business knowledge and Dr. Keisha's educational knowledge. We want to bring some of those to the table just so you can start thinking, and you can feel free to put things in the chat and let us know any questions you have about the 10K project or comments you have about the articles we're going to talk about today. So, ladies, are we ready?
Yes, we're ready.
Ready. Okay. So, let's see here. All right. There we go. So welcome to the 10K Project. We are a community of Black investors who fund Black businesses for as little as $100. I'm going to put on my Trump hat right now. We're going to say we're the largest community of Black investors that are funding Black businesses for as little as $100. So, I'm claiming it. I'm claiming we're going to have 1 million members in 2 years. And I am claiming that we are going to do big things within the community.
Yes, we agree with that.
Yeah, we like that last part.
Yeah, we agree with that.
That first hat part, I don't know.
Like you're trying to start something already, Cherie. Good Lord.
I was like, what is she getting ready to say?
Oh, come on, guys. Y'all know, y'all, at least on this channel, I do not do politics here.
That was a choice of words, girl.
Look, the one thing that I've learned is we're going to be Don King around here. We're going to claim it. We're going to do big things, right?
I agree with that. Yes, amen.
Because our businesses are the least likely to get funding yet. There was a Morgan Stanley report that said when our businesses are properly funded, we make just as much money as any other businesses out there. And the proof is going to come tonight with the article we're going to talk about, the Black female CEO who just sold her business for $1.2 billion with the B, $1.2 billion. Okay? When 10,000 of us get together and we put in $100 each, that's $1 million. We can start funding our own companies. We can profit from our own innovation. We can create our own jobs, and we can help close the wealth gap. Now, we often hear that there are 37 million Black people in the United States. The truth is, when I dug a little bit deeper, there are 10.8 million Black people who make enough money to be able to participate in something like this. They're not impoverished, or we, because I include myself in there, we're not impoverished. We can put up $100 several times a year to fund different Black businesses. We can support our businesses. We can be investors. We can help create jobs, and we can profit from this in the long term. And that's what we're building here at the 10K Project. We often hear about the problems. We're tired of talking about the problems. We want to be the solution, and we can earn a return on investment for that. So what we're technically doing is building something called an equity crowdfunding platform that requires Securities and Exchange Commission approval. Now, fancy terms, what does it mean? Crowdfunding is very simple. It's a lot of people getting together, putting in small amounts of money in order to reach some sort of goal. So whether you hear it on GoFundMe, and that is a donation crowdfunding platform, meaning that you're giving a donation for whatever purpose, or it's the building fund in our churches, and I always talk about that every Monday. Every time I speak, I talk about the building fund. We've been there, right? Black people have built movements on crowdfunding, but what we haven't been able to do before is put money into businesses and receive equity from those businesses. Equity is ownership. We as a community get to own our own businesses and profit from our own innovation. And that's what equity crowdfunding is. So this was started with the Jobs Act signed by President Obama in 2012. In 2016, the legislation was finalized. However, there are equity crowdfunding platforms out there, but they do not cater to us. It's very hard for our businesses to get on these crowdfunding portals, and we want to change that. We want to show Black excellence and Black innovation, and we get to profit from it. So how does the 10K Project work? I'm actually going to break it down into a three-legged stool. That was somebody, actually a member of the media, said, it sounds like a three-legged stool. And you know what? It is. One leg are investors. That's us. That's the community at large. That's people who have $100, $200, $500 to put into a business in exchange for equity. So you can be an investor, and you will receive investor education, financial literacy, basic financial literacy, how to set up a family bank, how to do something called due diligence, which just means when somebody is pitching their business to you, how to research it and make sure all the information is correct before you decide to put money into it, all the way to how to build wealth plans and how to create generational wealth. So we're going to have a lot of different topics within that investor education. Number two are entrepreneurs and our Bet on Black pitches. If you're familiar with Shark Tank, you've seen them. The entrepreneur comes on, they talk about their business, how long they've been in business with their product and services, who's on their team. They talk about their numbers. Are they making money right now? When are they going to make money? How are they going to make money? How do we get our money back as investors? When do we get our money back? You know, at what time period are they expecting? All of those things. So what happens with the Bet on Black pitches is an entrepreneur comes in a similar platform like this. They will pitch their businesses to the entire community for about a half hour. And then we as a community, as investors, have an opportunity to ask that entrepreneur questions about their business. And at that time, you can decide if you want to bet on that Black business, meaning you want to put money into that Black business. However, that's not all. Let's say you hear the presentation and you want to do more research, that's fine. By SEC regulations, we have to leave the portal open for a certain period of time so that you can do your research. You can ask the entrepreneur follow-up questions. They can answer those follow-up questions. And once you decide if you want to participate in that deal, as long as it's still open, because the entrepreneurs can raise up to $1,070,000. So anywhere from $10,000 to $1,070,000 is what can be raised. But the entrepreneurs are like the second leg in the stool. The third leg in the stool is business support after funding. Now, I was a business plan writer for many, many years. And the truth is that the team that is created around these companies and around these entrepreneurs is so vital to its success. Everybody from your CPA, digital marketing experts, social media experts, lawyers, board members, etc. So we are going to have resources available to these entrepreneurs to receive business support after they are funded. If you've ever heard of a VC, a VC is a venture capitalist. Well, we are the home of the everyday VC. You're an everyday VC, and so am I. And now we get to have a seat at the table. To participate in the 10K project, you must become a member. You must become a member of our community and really our ecosystem. And what does membership get you? It gets you a seat at the table. Again, when we're talking about that $1.2 billion company that was sold to Amazon by a Black woman, how many of us knew about that company before today? And if we knew about the company, how many of us were invited to come hear the pitch and participate in that and put money on that Black business? I would venture to say not many of us, if any of us, right? In this ecosystem, you get a seat at the table. You also get financial literacy education, and you have the opportunity to hear all the pitches for every business on the platform and invest in businesses on the platform for life. It's a one-time payment, a lifetime payment of $100 to receive all of this. The financial literacy education alone is thousands of dollars of information. But not only do you get that, you also get an opportunity to invest in all the businesses on the platform. So what does the education include? It includes things like developing wealth plans, how to make more money, save more money, reduce debt, repair credit, reduce taxes, develop money-savvy kids, all the way from your younglings to your millennial young adults, how to start family banks, best practices for analyzing deals on the platform, building a strong investment portfolio, creating and preserving family wealth, group economics 2.0, and so much more. I have a special announcement coming about the Group Economics 2.0. Give me about 3 weeks and I will be able to announce that, but we have something pretty big coming down the pipeline with regards to that. A couple of upcoming milestones we have. A membership area is open. So once you pay to become a member, if you would send me an email I'm sorry, we send you an email and we tell you where to go in order to sign up for that members only area. We also have our publicity tour, which is in full swing. We are starting to get our first interviews. We had interviews last week. We have interviews this week. We're being interviewed on Boyce Watkins' channel tomorrow. So we have some pretty big interviews coming up and more through the fall. We also have investor education that's going to begin around October 20th. And our business owner's guide to raising money on the platform is going to be released on October 27th. And spring of 2021, we should have our FINRA and SEC approval and investments begin. And you may be asking, well, Cherie, if investments aren't going to begin until the spring, why are we talking now? Well, for a couple of reasons. Number one is our community needs investor education so that when the businesses come on the platform and they start pitching, you will be ready. Also, it takes time for the businesses in our community to get ready to be on the platform. You as a business cannot say, I want to be on the platform, and tomorrow you're on. There are regulations and rules that are specific to the Securities and Exchange Commission. It is law. There are certain things that you must have in order to even be on the platform. So we are laying the groundwork. The third and final thing is we want a certain amount of members in our ecosystem before we open up the platform so that everyone can have a great experience. The investors can have a great experience. The entrepreneurs can have a great experience. And if you provide any kind of business support against CPA, your social media market or anything like that, you can also have a great experience on the platform. The final thing that I will say is our lawyers are working hard to have this approval happen sooner rather than later. If it comes January, February, we'll be ready. However, we wanted to give ourselves a little bit of wiggle room, which is why we put spring 2021 on there. The final thing is we need your help. You can't do this alone. We're asking for you to become a founding member, to join our Facebook and Instagram. We're at Black 10K Project on all social platforms. Also, if you Google Black 10K Project, you find us. Share this with your like-minded friends. And if you have an entrepreneurial pastor, you have a community leader we should meet, a fraternity, a sorority leader, you listen to your favorite podcast or YouTuber, and you're like, Cherie and the 10K Project should be on there, please let us know. info@the10kproject.com, info@the10kproject.com. So with that, that is our presentation. I'm working on getting faster with it. I always forget to time myself, but ask us questions because tonight is about Q&A as well. So I'm going to start with Tawana. Would you introduce yourself and tell us why you are part of the 10K Project?
Evening. My name is Tawana Rivers, and I am the Chief Operating Officer here at the 10K Project. And why I am doing this, oh my gosh, so every week I give a different why because the whys just keep coming, right? You think you do something for one simple reason, right? There's passion, there's a need. And then as you're working on the project, literally I have been hit upside the head with at least 100 more whys, right? Every time I think of something, I'm like, that's why. I see something in the media. That's why they need the 10K Project. That's why the community needs us to do this. And so, tonight, my why is very, very, very simple. We are undervalued as a community. I think people are missing the boat, right? They've been sleeping on us for way too long. And now that we're getting some exposure in the media, I think people are seeing that. I mean, we've seen more stories here recently about Black excellence than I think I've seen in years past, right? And however we get the spotlight on us, I think is a good thing. But we need that to continue. What I don't want to happen is for this to be a season in the media, right? Where all things Black is beautiful, right? And then when the next news story comes up and this has passed, they forget about us again. And with the 10K project, that won't happen. We will be solidified in the community, taking care of the community from an investor and an entrepreneur standpoint. You know, the investor can have access to these amazing businesses that we're going to bring in front of them, and then the entrepreneur can raise the funds that they need. So we're looking to be a staple in the community nationwide. You know, this for us is not just a storyline. It's not today's headline. This is a life-altering business that will change lives, enhance lives, and allow families to dream beyond what they can today. And so, you know, for me, the why is simply that, because we need something that's going to be sustained, not just an overnight. You know, we see some of the other like businesses, you know, highlighting and headlining people of color. And I think, again, amazing, right? If we finally get some time to shine, there's no bad in that. The only bad is it has to be constant. We can't have to seek out Black businesses to support, because they're out there. We need to have a space where they're here. You come to one place, you log in, you see them, because guess what? It's only them. And it's as simple as that. So that's my why today, this week, is because this is necessary. And the community is waiting for something like this. We've been waiting for something like this. The education alone is going to change and enhance lives. And when you add the investment opportunities and the funding to the businesses, I mean, like, it's a no-brainer. Like, it really is.
Thank you so much. So Tawana is my right hand. She, you know, keeps all of us on track. She is our operations officer, and she kind of keeps, not kind of, definitely keeps the engine running. She is the woman. So I'm so grateful to have her here. Dr. Keisha Waddell is our Chief Instruction Officer. All of this great education that you're going to be getting, financial literacy education from A to Z, she is putting it together along with other outstanding people in the community. We have found some of the best talent, and when we say this is what we're doing, they say, I'm on board. How do I help? What do we do? What do you need? You know, and Dr. Keisha has been doing a world-class job of putting that together. So tell us who you are and why you're part of this 10K project.
Again, Dr. Keisha Waddell. I am the Chief Instructional Officer of the 10K Project, and as Cherie mentioned, and Tawana, as we've been really working behind the scenes here, I've just been struck with our Black excellence. It's just been, you know, hidden figures just coming to the fore, you know, here, and it's just really been a beautiful thing. So, you know, with me being an educator and this being my position in this particular group and effort, it's critical. It's critical. It's the part that's going to make things be sustained after, you know, like you mentioned, Tawana, when Black isn't the thing, you know, or some other news trumps it or whatever. There's that word again today, word of the day. But yeah, so, but honestly, you know, it's the education. Once we are able to really educate ourselves, sustain ourselves, empower ourselves, you know, so that it's not just, you know, continued discussion about it, you know, and hoping for somebody else to do it and all of that. We can keep this going. There'll be no excuses. We know where we're at. We know who to send folks to, because this will be here and established. As Cherie said, we plan on being here. We don't plan on being fly by night, you know, so we'll be here to continue the education and to continue to spotlight the excellence. And I'm excited to be a part of it. As Tawana said, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
Thank you so much. Dr. Keisha's done a wonderful job. Eric Spence is here. He is, for all the men out there like, you got me, brothers? Yes, we do. We've gotten that more than once. Like, and you got a man too. Like, yes, we do. So he is the Chief Business Development Officer. All the entrepreneurs that are looking for that guide that's coming out on October 27th, all about how to get on the platform. This is a person who is putting it together. He's not doing it alone, but he is the person who is putting that together. And he's going to bring you some fabulous businesses on the platform. Eric Spence, tell us who you are and why you're part of the 10K Project.
Hi, everybody. Eric Spence. As Sheree mentioned, I am the Chief Business Development Officer here at the 10K Project. I'll say, and it's kind of echoing a lot of what Tawana said and Dr. Keisha said earlier, is yes, absolutely pulling those great ideas that we have always historically generated in the Black community. And I'll say this too, it's kind of something similar to what Talisha said on the talk like last week, I think it was. But listen, I'm looking for an accelerated economy, accelerated finance, really financial ascension. And part of that too is as these great ideas, these great Black ideas, Black companies are created too, we also want to be able to pivot and to think about, the upcoming generation, that they will have positions in that they are going to be able to move into and to be fully authentic and fully, bring their whole selves to it, not have to put on any other kind of uniform, just be able to be completely who they are, and I think about that, and I think about us being able to, this project being able to serve as a platform and as a catalyst that will allow that to happen. I do see that. I do see us being able to really serve that role of being able to, really allow that to happen in our lifetime too, so.
Great, yes. So Talisha is our Chief Technology Officer, so all things tech. Tell us who you are and why you're part of the 10K Project.
Yes, I am Talisha Shine. I am the Chief Technical Officer here. And said tech is everything. That's all we always say. It powers things, but truly the driving aspect of it is that tech without any purpose is useless. It has no meaning whatsoever. So you've heard bits and pieces. You didn't even know things existed until they're put together, packaged correctly, and more specifically customized for you to use them. That's when tech becomes your favorite thing. Your iPhone is like the thing that you will sell your child for, but you won't leave home without it. That's the kind of thing. And that's what we have to build. And that's what my purpose here in the 10K is to build something that not only has sustainability, but that is truly customized to your usability. So the things that you need are readily accessible. You don't want to just hit the interwebs and be searching and figuring it out on your own. That's not helpful for you. That's a waste of time. And actually the resources all here. So we have aggregated everything for you in one place for you by us to do what you need to do best, which is to show that Black excellence. We need a forum to which to do that. And here we are, the actual powered engine to get you to that next level.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I was looking for a date on my calendar. Yes, here it is. Okay, July 29th, we have the granddaughter of Madam C.J. Walker coming to grace us with her knowledge. We're going to be talking about Black Economics 2.0. Y'all know that's my thing. So that is going to be happening July 29th at 1 p.m. I will also tell you that we are confirmed for July 29th, that same day, that Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. We have a gentleman coming to talk about how to develop a wealth plan for your family. How to develop a wealth plan for your family. So his name is Calvin. He is coming on July 29th, 7:30. We're going to do a lot of marketing and advertising around this in order to really bring the community together, and have a couple of other surprises with regards to those announcements. But you got to wait like another week because I'm trying to put some stuff together. So we do have those two things, but at least those two dates and times are on the calendar. So, we have a lot of great content coming with regards to Black Economics 2.0, investor education, getting your families organized, all of that. We're laying the foundation so that when we go live, all of us as investors and all of the entrepreneurs and all of the people that are providing that business support, we can all be cohesive and have our stuff outlined and together. So with that, I wanted to do a follow-up to our conversation about billionaire Robert Smith. So last week we talked about him. If he looks familiar, remember about a year, I think it was a year ago, the
Morehouse.
Morehouse, yes. Morehouse college graduates had their student loans paid by the Black billionaire. This is him, Robert Smith. And he has come up with a 2% solution, and it is a plan to funnel billions to America's Black-owned businesses. And I personally will say I like the fact that he talked about Black and not just minority, because he does have a plan for Black-owned businesses. And we had a big conversation about this, about the fact that he was urging America's biggest corporations in banking, telecom, technology, education, healthcare. It ends up being 2% of their annual net income is about $45 billion a year. And what he was encouraging them to do was funnel this money into, and I shouldn't say funnel, to put this money into minority banking institutions and Black banks, and allowing these banks to lend to small businesses, because small businesses, especially small Black businesses, are more likely to hire Black people and to build the Black economy. So it's a great plan that he has. And as I was doing my research this weekend, we were working a lot, Tawana and I, especially with our Facebook advertising, website designer, Dynamo. She gave us a lot of great information. And one of the things I was doing was calculating, and you all can let me know what you think of this. I have been saying for the past few weeks now that I believe, without a shadow of a doubt, that we'll have 1 million Black people, or million investors, but most of them Black, in the next 2 years. When I did the calculation on it, there are 37 million Black people in the United States, and I'm claiming 1 million. Do you all know what percentage 1 million out of 37 million is? Guess? Anybody?
I'm trying to look at my calculator real quick.
1/37.
Yeah, I'm not your math person. I'm the operations person, just to remind you all.
I'm not trying to steal anybody's thunder. I'm not good.
I don't want y'all to
1/37. Anybody want to guess? 1/37 is, so it's 1 million people out of 37 million Black people, ends up being 2.7%. Okay. So my thought was, can Robert Smith 2% solution meet our 2% solution?
Okay.
Here's my thought. Now I want to pass it off to all of you. We have quite a few people here in Zoom. We have people on Facebook, etc. Talisha can see you all. I want to get some comments on this. So I'll ask you is this. Put a 1 in the chat if you believe the big corporations will be more likely to put in their 2% if we put in ours. Put a 1 in the chat if you believe the big corporations will be more willing to put in their 2% if we put in our 2%. Put a 2 if you say, no, they would give us the money anyway, no matter what. Put a 1 in the chat if you believe that the big corporations would be willing to put in their 2% if we put in our 2%. And put a 2 in the chat if you believe they'll give us the 2% without us putting up anything for it. I see 1s, I see 2s. I'm going to open it up to my panel. I see ones, I see
All
twos, I
ones.
see twos and ones.
Hey, two and one.
Facebook is killing it with the ones.
I see people who don't know.
Yeah, I would say
And
Facebook
this is great. This
has
is a
a
part of the
sweeping-
conversation, the Black economics conversation we have. So I'm gonna open it up to my panel.
So I said two.
Okay.
I, kind of back to what I started with is there is an awareness happening right now that I believe makes how we help the Black community a topic of conversation in the boardroom where it really hasn't been before, especially for companies where we are consumers. And so I think because the iron is hot right now, people are sitting somewhere right now, right, even at 6 p.m. in the evening, crunching the numbers, trying to figure out where they're going to get the 2% from, because they feel like that's the least we can do. So I think it's going to happen, whether we do anything or not. Now, it doesn't mean we don't do anything, right? That's a different question. But I believe that people, businesses all over the world, right, even globally, are trying to figure out how can they give back.
So I'm going to throw another monkey wrench in here that we did not talk about last week, but when I read this article again, he's calling for 2% a year over a decade. So we're the hot thing now, but next year, some other group may be the hot group. Okay. So would they be willing to put in dedicate $45 billion a year for 10 years straight without us putting up our 2%? I'll open it up to Dr. Keisha, Erica, Talisha. Anybody in the chat want to talk?
I think this is very symptomatic, just like anything else. This is a trend. Trends die. So that's where the sustainability is not always viable. It can go until it fizzles out. But I think the interesting part of it, the residual effect, if there is a consistent 2% by us, showing more so not so much corporations, but VCs, they're going to match the dollar for the dollar, because that's what they're already interested in. And that's their one thing that they always say, well, I don't know what your sustainability is. That's the thing. If we take that thing away from them, they now have to put their money where their mouth is. And I think that's the difference. It will do whatever from a corporation standpoint, but subsequently from the VC world, it will change that diaspora enough to be like, okay, here it is. I got mine. What you gonna give me? And so now there's going to be a whole different way of dialoguing from a VC standpoint. They're going to have to really show up and show out to meet that if we continue to that process of 2% consistently.
Right. So one of the interesting things is we know, we've mentioned that companies right now can raise $1,070,000. There are two things to note. Number one is companies can raise that amount of money every year, up to that amount of money every year right now. The second thing to note, which is even more interesting, is there was a vote a couple of months ago to raise that limit to $5 million of crowdfunding money per year. Now, the reason we can't raise $5 million right now is because they haven't done whatever they needed to do to ratify and put it into law, whatever. But that is coming. Other crowdfunding platforms have been pushing to raise the limit. So what Talisha is talking about, in essence, is a lot of VCs do not invest in our businesses, not just because they don't see the crowd supporting the business, but because we haven't put enough. So again, I was a business plan writer, and I would see people raise $600,000, $1 million, $2 million from family and friends, right? To get the business to a certain point where a VC would even be interested. And our people don't have those funds to get them to a point where the VC would even be interested because they've seen the viability of it. So what we're talking about is getting that VC to a point where they would be interested. So Key is saying if we put money in, they are going to want a piece of the pie. We will blow up and see the sustainability. Of course, absolutely. Yeah. Eric, Dr. Keisha, I'm interested in hearing what you think.
I was leaning towards the one only because, just coming from a grassroots kind of approach, just it's just the skin in the game kind of thing. It would give the common man, a platform to stand on to say, hey, we've given. We've definitely given. We've given off our back, the whole history of us, blah, blah, blah. And now here we come with our monetary piece for our goals. So we will not have that one little thing that other folks could check off the box about us anymore. We'd be able to have that to say, yes, we've done that. We've come together and we've done that. And that's got to stand for something. It definitely gives us something to stand on, just in the grassroots of everything. Folks off the street can understand that, whether they have any understanding of, venture capitalists and, this, that, and the other going on in corporate. So,
Eric?
I kind of approach it from a different standpoint. And that is the fact that, listen, we're definitely in a time, where, the ground is shifting and moving beneath our feet. And we have some really, these are life-changing macro changes that are happening right now. What does concern me about this is, okay, the plan is over a 10-year span, which I would look at the commitment that, how exactly that's in writing. And here's my concern. These companies, 2%, we don't know where their bottom line is going to be at 3, 4, 5 years from now. And I guess my concern where I look at it, where absolutely, to me, if that happens, yes, that would be great. But at the same time, I think we also have to maintain our own control of the ship and charting our own course, just because we just don't know what's going to happen with some of these with some of these companies now. This is take, for instance, we saw what happened in 2008 with a lot of those companies. What if one of those had said, oh yes, we're going to give 2%, and then they're going to say, we ain't got it. We're having to shut our doors or whatever the case will be. If it was like a Lehman Brothers or something like that, and now you're like, oh, okay, well, that's it. So, and now they're in bankruptcy or something like. So I guess that's part of, I'm kind of thinking about that at the same time with it, and then it brings in a balance where I go, it's always best if you can control your own destiny as best as you can. And so that to me is a stream of consciousness, I guess, that I look at this with.
Yeah. The other thing to note, and I agree with all, even though you guys said ones, I still agree 100%. The other thing, though, to think about is, I think about Lamar Wilson's group, Boycott the Silent, right? And it's a Facebook group highlighting those companies that have not made it very clear that Black Lives Matter, right? And so they don't get the Black dollars. If you can't say the words, if you can't live the life, then you don't get the dollars, right? And I think about that and us as consumers and the power that we hold as consumers. That power that we hold as consumers is what allows that 2% to make the budget every year for the next 10 years, right? When they realize, okay, if they don't patronize whatever our services or goods are, then we lose, 25% of our revenue, because that's how much they bring us as a community, right? But if I can figure out how to give this to show my support and so that they will continue to be consumers, that's a real conversation that they have to have. That it has to be, because what's going to happen is if that support is not there, we're going to feel more and more empowered every day. There's a right now, July 7th is supposed to be Blackout Day, right? No shopping. If you do, only Black businesses. And I know we've seen, let's make it the whole week. Let's make it the weekend. Let's make it, just make it, right?
Just be about it for real. Yeah.
Right, choose your days. Make sure July 7th is somewhere in there, because the guy who created this whole mission, that was his day. So don't go changing his day without including his day at least. And so, but we have the power. And I think after that day, after July 7th, we as a people will start to believe more the power we have. Because I believe that is our biggest problem, is we do not believe in ourselves as much as we need to believe in ourselves. And we don't understand the power that we hold, because for so long we keep hearing people whisper in our ear, you know, that we don't matter and that we don't have power, which is foolishness and lies, but we listen and subliminally we let it get in. I think once we start to realize the power we have and we withhold that dollar strategically, that 2% will make the budget for the next 20 years, because they won't be able to afford for it not to make it.
Right. So Nate Holloway, I think you came in the middle of the conversation. He's saying here, 2% invested in Black banks is not VC money. That money would probably go to small business loans. It would. So we were talking about VCs actually in terms of, so the conversation is that the big corporations that we're talking about with Robert Smith, right? Robert Smith, the billionaire, came out with this plan that said he wanted all the big corporations to give 2% of their net profits, which is about $45 billion a year, to Black banks, which, yes, we recognize are not VCs, right? To give them to Black banks for business loans. And the initial question we had was, would they give their 2% continuously if we weren't giving our 2%? And 1 million Black people as part of the 10K project is 2%. It's really 2.7% of our population. So when we have our 2% come to the table and fund our own businesses, would they be more willing to put their 2% on the line? So that was the conversation, Nate. And I just want to make sure that everybody was aligned with that. And we're just having the conversation, right? We have differences of opinion. Everyone has differences of opinion in here. But the VCs came up because the thought is, when we start funding our own businesses and we help our businesses get to a certain level, then the venture capitalists are more likely to put funding into those businesses as well, because they've gotten to a certain level through the community. And I was a business plan writer for many years. I saw a lot of companies raise, $1 million, $2 million, $3 million from family and friends to get the business to a point where the VCs would want to participate. And some banks, this is why they got into trouble in 2008. Some banks were doing both sides of the house too. They were lending and they were doing the riskier stuff. So, so with that, I wanted to, let's see here. Oh, Marshall, I started using my Black receipt this month. Okay, so that's you, Tawana. You're talking about my Black receipt. Okay, perfect. All right, so I want to show this beautiful woman here. Amazon acquires self-driving startup Zoox, I hope I'm saying that right, from Senegalese-born CEO for $1.2 billion. I'm so excited and happy for her. This is amazing.
It's a beautiful story.
I have a few things that I want to point out in here. I'm looking forward to the team talking about this as well. And anyone in the comments can talk about this and what you're seeing with this story. So Amazon reportedly forked over $1.2 billion to buy this self-driving startup. The acquisition solidifies Zoox's impact on the autonomous driving industry. Aicha Evans, CEO of Zoox, said, "We have made great strides with our purpose-built approach to safe autonomous mobility and our exceptionally talented team working every day to visualize that vision, or realize that vision. We now have an even greater opportunity to realize a fully autonomous future." So one of the first things here, exceptionally talented team. The best businesses have exceptionally talented teams. That's why whenever you see Shark Tank, 3 questions they always ask is, can they explain the business very simply? Do I get it and get what you're doing? who's on your team, and what are your numbers, right? Because, and that's part of the reason why we wanted to have that business support after funding, so that we can put these talented teams together. And there's a woman named Erica that I follow. She calls them super teams. And one of the things that I want to talk about when we get into the investor education of building these super teams that can do this, that can build $1.2 billion companies, because we have it within our community to do. So according to a statement on Amazon's site, Evans and Jesse Levinson, who was the co-founder and CTO, will continue to lead Zoox as a standalone business. So this is another big thing. Just because someone sells a business doesn't mean they leave the business. In fact, a lot of times they stay on in other capacities. It's also interesting that it's going to be a standalone business. I'd like to know a little bit more about that, but you know, I'm sure it'll come out over time. This is another big thing I wanted to show. Founded in 2014. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 2020. How many years has that been? Put in the chat. How many years?
I can do that math.
6. You know that math, right? 6 years. Okay, 6 years. We have said in this group, I forgot to mention it today earlier, you have to be prepared to hold on to the investment for 7 to 10 years. And just because, well, actually no, because it's an acquisition, the investors will probably get their money right away. But, you know, sometimes if the company goes public, you still can't sell your shares on the first day. So you have to practice patience with this. 6 years. So Keith said, we can do that math. 6 years. So when I saw that, I said, I got to highlight this for people. Zoox has sought to develop a new ecosystem for self-driving vehicles in the robo-taxi market. The autonomous vehicle startup envisions a future where consumers will request a ride on their phones and a car will pull up without a driver. Zoox's Crunchbase profile lists its total funding at $955 million before the Amazon acquisition. Now, this is something very interesting. People put in $955 million for her to sell for $1.2 billion. Okay? Still, this is a huge win. This is a huge win. And sometimes what they'll do is they will swap, you know, one type of share for another type of share. We're starting to get into more advanced things now. But I just want you to recognize how much it took for her to get to where she is in terms of the capital that needed to be raised. So the purchase position.
I was going to say, Cherie, one of the things I love just even about the business model, because we hear, you know, all over the news, especially like the last couple of years with all of the problems that the Ubers and the Lyfts have had and the indiscretion drivers and all of that stuff. And you think about how this idea just improved on an existing business model. And I love that about innovation, right? How you take something that's simple, right? So, because Uber and Lyft did it, right? They took a taxi ride and made it better. She's taking that Uber ride and making it better. Like, I just love how we keep building on, and that's innovation, period, right? Just how we just keep building and building and building to improve lives. And it's just, it's always so amazing to see when someone has one of those business ideas that you kind of go, oh, yeah, we've heard about the self-driving cars. It just makes sense that it would be a self-driving, like a taxi. It's like, again, duh, but nobody else thought about it. This sister's doing it, you know, for the last 6 years. So yeah, I just think it's awesome, which is why we've got to highlight these businesses early, right? Early. That's the purpose. That's another why.
And we've got to get in early too. So I want to read just a couple more things here, and then I'll open it up. This purchase positions Amazon with other multi-billion-dollar companies like Alphabet. So Alphabet is Google, for those who don't know. So basically like Google and General Motors, who have already laid roots in the global autonomous vehicle industry. Morgan Stanley analysts say that this purchase could help Amazon cut its shipping costs by more than $20 billion if it can get an autonomous offering to scale. There are two things I want to point out with these two sentences here. Number one is Amazon didn't purchase this woman's company because it was going to bring in a ton of money today. They purchased the company because they want to keep up with Google and General Motors. They were behind. So a lot of small businesses like ours, if we're talking about selling our businesses, and Fortune 500 companies from Heinz all the way to Google and Facebook buy companies every single year, multiple companies every single year. And sometimes they do it in order to stay, parallel with other companies in their industry. So when we start listening to our companies pitching themselves and we say, how are we going to get our money back? When are we going to get our money back? Some of the companies will say to us, we're positioning ourselves to be purchased by Amazon, Google, Facebook, these big tech companies, or these big car companies, or whatever. And you're listening for those things as an investor and as a savvy investor.
I wonder if this is why they decided to keep it a separate business, so it can use it for its original intent and then also to help with the shipping.
Yeah, so they're basically
a lot of things come into play, like this particular aspect. I've been following this company for quite some time because I'm in the autonomous space. I'm curious about that. So this was just coming right on time. But a lot of companies are also looking for external solutions to internal problems. They don't need them to be a part of their company because that absorbs a lot more cost. So sometimes buying an entity for the entity to run as a solo thing is much more beneficial. And we see that much more. We've seen that in the healthcare industry with their buying, like PillPack. It was meant to be a specific thing. They didn't need it to be integrated into their system. They needed something to help their internal healthcare issues and their internal, basically their prescription drug delivery for their own employees across the states. That's why they purchased it. It was very methodical, and they don't need to absorb it because then it becomes another line item, where this one is pure profit. I can pay for it and let them do their work and just keep collecting those checks.
Exactly, because they bought it for 1.2 billion and they get to save 20 billion.
20.
I mean, that's
it's
like
a line item reduction. But they look for solutions. They're looking for solutions. And so developing companies that are solution oriented, you do one thing. That's why I said you don't have to do a myriad of things. You do one thing well and you solve a problem that someone has, they will need you to do that implementation for them.
Absolutely. So the final two paragraphs here. Now she joins an elite group of Black women whose startups have been acquired by multi-billion-dollar companies. Others include Jewel Burke-Solomon, whose company PartPick was acquired by Amazon, and Juanita Lott, who sold Bridgestream software to Oracle in 2007. Other successful exits include Travel Noir, who sold her company to Blavity in 2017, and Pathbright founder Heather Hiles raised over $12 million before her company was acquired by Cengage Learning. So I wanted to point that out to say, when our companies are properly funded, and we have these super teams, we make just as much money. It is time for us to have a seat at the table. It is time for us to build our own table, in the words of Tyler Perry, right? Let's build a table. Let's get more excellence to the table, and let's push more excellence out into the world. I do believe we need our 2%. And our 2% is our 1 million. We need the mighty few. Right? That doesn't mean we need 1 million people tomorrow. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying for us to have the huge impact, for us to have the huge impact that we need to have, we need our 2%. So if, you want to be a member of this, help us grow this community. It's the10kproject.com, the10kproject.com. You can find out how it works. You can ask us questions. And when you feel comfortable, you can become a member. So I'm going to open it up for final Oh, Eric is saying these ideas make me light up like a Christmas tree.
I do. And, you know, let me just say this about this too, especially. First of all, that is just pure genius to me. And that's something too that I wish right now and I could do that. I would 100% do that. Right now, I would put to bed my Durango. That's it. I don't care. You're done. That's it. I'm going to call the car and I don't have to talk to anybody. And I'm just going to be there, and that's what it's going to be. And I would absolutely love it. But let me say this too. We're in a very magical time because when you have this Cambrian explosion of ideas, that there are so many, and you know, Talisha, who's our chief technology officer here, she knows that like you have so many other layers of technology and technological innovation that become separate businesses that then end up being very necessary for this to happen. Like I'm immediately thinking about this, and we've kind of covered it in our blockchain group about just the insurance solutions now that are going to happen because now, you know, I don't have to be paying Geico or Progressive a monthly bill. Now I can have an insurance solution that's only going to pay me, or well, I only have to pay for the time that I'm actually in the car.
Transactional.
Yes, transactional.
Transactional insurance.
Right, that's it. Like, who's going to create that? I want to see some Black people create that. And guess what? Don't wait for just one company to try to come out there and try to monopolize the market. No, we should all get out there and have multiple companies that really compete in the space for something like that. So I'm just, yeah, I absolutely love ideas like this, but I, you know, begin to see them too. And it's kind of just like, you know, at least I talk about, you know, being Gen Xers, you get a chance to see like behind you and ahead of you at the same time. Right? But you know, you think about the cell phone. You think about the cell phone. Look at all of the other ancillary businesses that happen off the cell phone itself, from not just the apps, but the carrying cases and the cord manufacturers and the chargers, and it just goes on and on and on and on. So, but I want to see us position ourselves to get a big piece of the pie. As more and more of these innovations, to me, I mean, we're like right around the corner from these things like being, you know, happening. Where my neighbor there is like now, I'm like, whoa, how's that? Oh, an automated car come and pick you up. Like, you know, so that's it. So yeah.
And I will say this as well. So I continuously harp on the business support after funding, because some of you are not the innovators. You're not the person, you know, with the bright dreams. Let me tell you something. Visionaries need the person who's on the ground, who knows how to put the project plan together, who knows how to put the operations plan together. I'm used to floating between being the operations person and the visionary. It is exhausting. I cannot tell you how happy I am to have this entire group of people, but specifically Tawana here, because I don't have to think, oh my goodness, now how do we plan all of this stuff? No. Steve Jobs, for example, was great as a visionary because he had Steve Wozniak, right? So if you are not the visionary, but you know how to put a project plan together, you know how to do product management, you know how to do the marketing and really get it out there, you're a great salesperson, these companies are going to need you. The visionary can't be out here on their own and get to 1.2 billion. We have to have super teams. Now, if you're not gifted, I was listening to Steve Harvey this morning talking about living your gift. If you are not gifted in that, please don't waste the community's money, okay? Live in your gift. But if you have certain gifts, starting in the next few weeks, well, we've already started reaching out to partners, but we're going to have systems outlined with how you can identify as somebody who can give those businesses support before, during, and after funding, because that's going to be vital to the businesses that are going to succeed, you know, having the teams that they need. So with that, final comments before we let everybody go.
I wanted to add on, to really as an encouragement based on everything that was really said, and really to add on what you were just saying, Cherie. You know, when you think about all these high-tech things that are going on and all these ideas and whatnot, really just keep in mind that it can start as basic as, writing just something down on a piece of paper, making a T-chart, with complementary goods in one column and substitute, goods on the other side, thinking about, like you were just saying, Eric, all the different verticals that can happen off of these ideas, and it doesn't have to be that you're, typing it all out on a computer. I mean, a lot of great ideas are just sketched out on a piece of paper, and then you bring it into your team. Like you said, sometimes we kind of get in our way thinking that we have to have so many things in place. I just really want to just encourage some folks who are, just crazy inventors, but you're just like, you're just like, just this idea, break those papers back out. This is the time. This is like you were just saying, Eric, this is really a magical time right now, now that we've gotten the energy of the group, our money is we're able to put the money together. We found each other. There are people across the spectrum here that could put more than $100 in on the project, at this point, so it's exciting. It's exciting. So be encouraged, especially if you're older, like you were just mentioning. We can look behind and go forward, and young enough to still think and make these connections with things. That's huge right now. That is huge. Let's not, as you talk about, Talisha, all the time, the technology is here to enable a lot of the critical thinking and, Black girl magic and Black power and Black excellence and innovation that we have always possessed, guys, always. So this is our time. This is really our time to make a real change in, our future. It really, really is. So take it.
I did see.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
So two things. I'm sorry. Tasha in Zoom, you have your hand raised. If you really need to have your hand raised, you want to ask a question, put it in chat that you want to ask a question. Otherwise, I don't want to accidentally let you up. I also see several questions in here from Key, who said that a few people I invited weren't able to watch, but had a few questions. Okay, so question number one, how many members do you currently have? We have about 275 members. We have started our Facebook marketing heavily. We know our numbers. We're going to get to 1,000 in the next couple of weeks. So we put in the money in order to do that. What are the benefits of a founding member, if any? So founding members are our first 1,000 members. You get a shout out on Facebook, and you'll also be recognized for life on the founding member page of our website. So how can people donate that are not interested in being a member? We do not have that as an option. We want you to be a member. So instead of donating, be a member, please. Are you guys affiliated with any other Black movements that we can support as well? So we have loose affiliations. However, because we are guided by the Securities and Exchange Commission, we do not have official affiliations with any Black movements. Doesn't mean we don't support them, but we have to walk in a specific way.
Yeah, the 10K project, the business entity does not have any affiliations, while the founders may have affiliations to some of the other Black groups that are out there right now.
Yes. And then her final question is, do you guys need any more specialists, financial planners, advisors, advertisement specialists, etc.? The answer is yes. So Dr. Keisha, K. Waddell at the10kproject.com. K. Waddell at the10kproject.com. She needs the financial planners, the advisors, all of those individuals, because she's putting together our knowledge center for the investor education as well as the entrepreneur education. So contact her, and she will work with you on that. Okay, so Kay is saying got it. I hope I have your name right. I'm so sorry. Is saying she's got it. Great. If you have questions, please feel free to ask us. We definitely want anybody that you're referring us to feel comfortable, as well as you feeling comfortable with where we are. So I can tell you right now, we know our numbers. We're going to reach 1,000 members. Actually, I'm going to say by the end of July, based on the amount of marketing that we're doing, because we we don't want 1 million members today, right? So we're going to have 1,000 members by the end of July, and our goal is 10,000 members by the end of September, which is not going to be unlikely. So
There's another question in the Zoom.
In the chat, yeah.
yes, in the chat. Okay, let's see here. Marit said, you mentioned becoming a member with more than 100. How do you do that? No. $100 is the membership. For more than 100, that is with regards to when you invest in businesses. When you invest in businesses, you are able to put in more than $100. So what's your maximum, you may say? Well, the SEC has a formula that says how much you can put into all crowdfunding campaigns over the course of a year. The minimum from the SEC is $2,200 a year, but depending on your net worth, your income, a few other things, it could be more than that. So what you want to do, we can't tell you how to, use your money, but what you want to do is obviously look at your own personal budget and pace yourself, because we want to teach you how to build a portfolio. Mm-hmm. Just like you build a portfolio of stocks, you don't want to have all your eggs in one basket. I'm going to suggest that you build a portfolio of these great Black businesses. And these businesses are going to come from all industries. They're going to be at different parts of their journey. Some will be, an idea on a napkin in a business plan, and others would have been around for a decade or more and making money, and now they want to go to the next level. So you'll want to have a good portfolio. So,
and if anyone wants to see that formula, you can go to our FAQs on the 10kproject.com, and you'll see that question, what's the maximum I can invest in each business? And you'll see the criteria based on net worth and annual income, and you'll see the different two options on if you make above $107,000 versus if you make less than that. So if you want to see that formula, you can go there and see that.
So Nate is asking, when is the investor training content being released? October 22nd, I think. Yes.
Yeah, that's when we said the formal training is being released, Cherie. But yes, I mean, really, you just announced 2 dates, July 29th. You just announced 2 opportunities. I put that in investor training buckets. I mean, we talk about what we're, wealth plan building and, the great granddaughter of Madam C.J. Walker. It's like, come on, these are business education courses. Without a curriculum
already.
These conversations.
And I actually have 2 more people. I know I'm going to get them because I've had conversations with them. I'm just working on a date. One is a man named Sean Rochester. He wrote a book called The Black Tax, and it is all about the lack of opportunities that Black people have and the tax, in quotes, that we pay. And part of his book was around business funding and some of the issues that we have around business funding. So he's definitely coming. I already had a conversation with him. I just need to get a date for him. The other person that is coming is a gentleman that I know who organized his own family, Black gentleman. He organized his own family. They created their own family bank. And I'm going to invite him. He's a treasurer and the president of their family to come and talk about how they set it up, how they set up their family bank. Another person, we already got a confirmation that he wants to come to the 10K Project, is Dr. George Frazier. He is coming. We're working on a date for him, but he is coming. So, and we have a list in our publicist who used to work with Tom Joyner and actor Bill Duke, and is highly connected. I gave him a list. I said, this is my list. And he's working on that list for us. So, yes. So Corey is saying he just joining my wife as well. Thank you, Corey. Cherie, your first question, what's the answer, 1 or 2?
That was just regard to the question of if they're 2% and it wasn't, it was just a engagement question. There was no right or wrong answer.
Yeah, there was no right. I hope it wasn't a wrong answer, because I think mine would have been wrong because I was the only one that said 2.
Yeah. And the answer is we don't know. But what Eric said is important. We have to be prepared either way.
Either way.
If they come, great. If they don't, we'll still make it.
Yeah,
It
and
may take us
my
longer.
answer definitely wasn't to imply that we wait on them, but if they're given 2%, we'll take it. I mean,
Yeah. Nate is saying he has that book, the Black Tax book. Yes. So I ordered mine. I'm going to be reading it, but I did hear him speak at Google, well, it was on YouTube, but he gave a great presentation.
With regard to their membership certificates being issued for our founding members. That's an interesting idea.
it's a lovely idea.
Yeah, we will work on that. We've had people ask us for swag and stuff like that. We're we will come up with something. We will come up with something. So other than the shout out on the update page, what else is being offered? So the shout out on the Facebook page, also being mentioned on our website. We don't have any other current offerings for the founding members, but it really isn't just about that. It really is about helping us have the foundation that we need so that we can bring in the members. Because the more members we have, when we get to 50,000 members, 100,000 members, the more businesses we can bring on, the more you can build your portfolio, the more businesses your kids will see. We didn't even talk about that tonight as a positive. Your kids are going to see industries and businesses and people that look like them that are doing phenomenal things in all sorts of industries. It's just there are going to be so many intangible benefits that you get from this. So
a very tangible one is the actual investment education. You're the first to get it. So then at this point, you're getting not only the first, but also to go through and have the tangential conversations of what else do you need to supplement that. So you get access to us at the very beginning so that we can craft and customize the learning experience for you. So you get that input immediately.
Mm-hmm. So one of the people, Keith, said the incentives just help hit the numbers faster. And I definitely understand that. We have a couple of incentives that we're working on, but we're not prepared to announce them yet. All right, I'll tell y'all. I'm not telling them what the incentive is. No, I'm not telling them what the incentive is. I want to make a statement. I'm not a fan of giving you swag just for swag's sake. I've asked the founding member. That's why they say you can't tell them yet. Okay, I've asked the founding members if we can come up with something substantive that will really help you in your financial journey. So that is what we are negotiating right now. So I didn't mean to I made Tawana nervous. I didn't mean to make you nervous. I wasn't going to say it.
Like, no,
I'm not a fan of sending you a t-shirt so you could walk around with a t-shirt. We have enough t-shirts in the community.
And it doesn't mean you won't ever get a t-shirt. That's marketing, right?
I'm about to say I need a t-shirt for me.
We love t-shirts. But it's not just about the t-shirt,
mm-hmm.
But you might get some t-shirts out.
So I tell you what, if we hit 10,000 members by the end of September, we'll figure out the t-shirt thing. Y'all got my word on it?
Okay.
It hit 10,000 members by the end of September.
I sign off on that.
Well, we will get the first 10,000 members a t-shirt. We will get that. Okay.
And
people saying you better get the t-shirt. Okay.
But then that's kind of back to what you were saying, being a founding member, for us to even be considering what it is you want. That's what you get as a founding member. We hear you.
Yeah.
Get a voice, right? You get a voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. You get a voice. So, but I will admit I've had some crazy voices come through my email too. Several of them where I'm kind of like, okay.
They get a voice.
So you get a voice, but we do want you to ask questions. We want you to ask questions. We want you to be a part of the conversation. Even more importantly than that, we want you to tell your family, tell your friends, those entrepreneurial pastors, community members. If you know somebody at the Urban League, Deltas, Alphas, anybody like that, we want to have conversations with those individuals. anybody in economic development too. I got a phone call from somebody in Ohio in economic development. They love what we're doing. They've referred us to somebody else. So we're getting noticed. We're getting noticed. So yeah, so we've got some big things coming. Okay. Anybody else before we finally let everybody go? We went a little over tonight.
I know, my 7 o'clock, they're blowing me up. I just want to end by saying, you know, this is a great conversation we've had here tonight. And my heart is speaking to the entrepreneurs right now. You know, for so long, so many of you have been content sitting at the table of others. And this is an opportunity to dust off that business plan, to dust off, you know, they talked about the piece of paper that you got in the you know, the little, what's that thing, the accordion folder, right? In the accordion folder in the top of the closet, that idea you wrote 10 years ago, right? And no one's done it yet. Now's time to get it out and start working on it, because this community is banding together to support you, right? We are bringing them together to support you. So now's the time to get ready, right? Get ready.
Show up. We're
People
here.
get ready because the train is coming. All right. Well, we're going to let everybody go. We thank you so much for being here. God bless you. Have a great evening. If you're not a member yet, please become a member. If you are a member, please tell a friend. And of course, feel free to ask us any questions that you have, the10kproject.com. Okay? Night, everybody.
Have a wonderful week, everyone.
Bye, everybody.